Hey guys, it's Miss Silva. This is going to be your reteach for your retest that will happen on Tuesday of this week, which is tomorrow. All right, so for the first one, we're going to be solving for x. Remember, our first step is to put our line down the equal sign. Now let's get rid of anything that is being added or subtracted to the x first, because remember, we want to isolate the x. This is our end goal. So in order to get rid of that negative 18, we're going to add 18 to both sides. We bring down that negative 2x, and 6 plus 18 is 24. Now we still don't have the x isolated, so we look at that negative 2. That negative 2 is attached to the x by multiplication. So the inverse of multiplying is dividing. So we're going to be dividing both sides by negative 2. These cancel. 4 divided by negative 2 will give us negative 12. So x is negative 12. Let's go ahead and go on to the next one. The next one, we're going to, again, solve for x. Put the line down the equal sign. Now, if there is more than two terms on both sides of the equal sign, we're going to look at them separately. So first, we're going to look at the left side, where we have parentheses. Remember, parentheses means we need to multiply, which is distributive property. So we're going to multiply this negative 3 times the first term. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Then negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. Now we see if we can combine anything, and we can't. That's how we know that we can move on to the other side of the equal sign. Now on this side, we also have parentheses, so let's go ahead and distribute that first. We've got 4 times 2, that gives us 8, and then 4 times negative x, remember there's a 1 here, so we have 4 times negative 1 is negative 4, and because there's an x, we've got negative 4x, and then we bring down that 2. Now if we look at this right side, we can still simplify or combine like terms. We can combine the 8 and the 2. That gives us 10. And then that minus 4x, we can just bring it down. Now that we can't simplify any further, that's how we know that we are done with simplifying. And I'm just going to bring this negative 3x plus 6 down so it's level with the right side of the equal sign. And now that we can't combine anything on each side, now we're going to move things around so we only have x on one side of that equal sign. Notice how we have an x on this side and an x on that side. So I like to move the smaller of the two x's. You can move with whichever x you want, but I'm going to move that negative 4x. What we do to one side, we do to the other. We draw our line, and our new equation is 1x. Bring down that plus 6, bring down that 10, and then this gives us 0. So they cancel each other out. Now that we have the x's on one side, now we need to move that constant to the other side. And a common mistake is that you guys want to move that 10 to the left side, but the x's are on the left side. So it's best to move the 6 to the right side. We bring down that x, and 10 minus 6 is equal to 4. And that's it. We've got x is equal to 4. Let's go on to number 3. We're going to solve this inequality and then graph it. So let's look at my inequality. Remember, we solved it just the same as we did the last two. We look for where the x is. We have the x's on one side, so let's move the constants to the other side. That plus 3, we're going to subtract it. And we end up with negative 2x, and then the inequality, and we've got 8. And then that negative 2 is attached to the x by multiplication, so the inverse is division. And notice how we are dividing by a negative, and it's only when we divide by a negative that we switch our inequality. and we end up with x is equal to -4. So let's go to -4, and we're going to start there. Because there's an equal sign under that -4, that means that my point is going to be closed. So we're including it because it's equal to it. And let's read the inequality. X is greater than. So greater than means that we have our solutions are to the right of that point, greater than or equal to. Let's go on to the next one. Again, we have another inequality. We solve it just the same as our equations. Let's look at the left side of the inequality. Nothing can be done there. Let's look at the right side. And notice how we have parentheses. So let's go ahead and distribute. We got 5 times 3 is 15. And then 5 times negative, if there's no number, there's a 1. So -1x is -5x. There's nothing that we can combine. So let's go ahead and rewrite the left side so it's level with the right side. So from here, we have an x on both sides. So let's go ahead and move one of the x's to one of the sides. Again, I like to move the x that is bigger. I'm sorry, that is smaller. So we're going to add 5x to both sides. And then we've got 3x here. Nothing happened with that plus 6, so we're just going to rewrite it. That 15, we're just going to rewrite it, and this is 0, so we just leave it. We've got just x on one side, which means we have to move that 6. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Bring down that 3x. This gives us 0. 15 minus 6 is, ew, I just killed a bug. 15 minus 6 is 9. And then want to get that x by itself. It's attached to the 3 by multiplication, so the inverse is division. So let's divide each side by 3. And because this is a positive 3, we do not change that inequality. This gives us 1, so my inequality stays the same direction, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So x is greater than 3. And then lastly, we've got our literal equations. We have the majority variables. So we've got to get that y by itself. We want to remove anything that's being added or subtracted to that y, which means it's this 4. If there's no sign, then we know it's net positive. So the inverse of positive 4x is negative 4x. It cancels. We bring down that negative 3y. And because we cannot add 15 and 4x, or we can't subtract 15 and 4x, we write it as the expression to represent it. So it's negative 4x plus 15. Okay, we still need that y by itself. It's attached by this negative 3 by multiplication. So my inverse is division. So we want to divide each one by negative 3. And we end up with y is equal to 4 does not go into 3. I'm sorry, 3 does not go into 4 evenly, but we know that we've got two negatives and a negative and a negative. When you divide them, you get a positive, so this turns into a positive 4 over 3x. And then 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5. All right, that's it for your reteach. Make sure you study these problems over and over and over so you are ready to take your retest tomorrow. There are extra practice problems on Delta Math. Please complete those as well. Good luck.